Speaking of interest outside the gym, right? The world's strongest bearded dragon breeder on the Iron Mindset podcast.
What's the crack, baby?
How did that happen?
Well, the dragons, they do this thing. Now, so basically, 2 years ago, touching on 2 years now, I just getting back into reptile keeping, you know, and years ago I'd kept snakes and they were cool and all, and I ended up getting too many too fast, and I got overwhelmed, so I got rid of everything, you know.
Flush them down the toilet.
Not quite, but not far off it, you know. And so I ended up buying a bearded dragon, Roger, I call him, and he was, you know, he brilliant. Like he was sitting on my shoulder. He's still alive. Like he's just asleep at the moment. He's in brumation, which is a form of hibernation for reptiles. So I was like, fuck it, man. You know, get him a female. You know, we can get his end away. And then they had eggs, and I incubated the eggs, and they popped 63 days later.
How are they getting on now?
They're huge and eating me out of house and home. I have to start selling them, man. I don't want to sell them because I know I give them a good life and I provide the best I can for them. And bearded dragons, unfortunately, they have a tendency to not land in good homes. But, you know, it is what it is, and I have to start shifting them on because I've got like 15 babies there, and I'm just like, I can't keep feeding these little fuckers.
What do they eat?
Everything. Like, I feed them crickets, grasshoppers, mealworms, superworms, cockroaches. I breed my own cockroaches.
You breed your own cockroaches. Do you have like one room in your house just crawling with bugs?
No, they're not crawling with bugs. Although I buy bulk orders of crickets, and somebody, we won't mention who, she left the bag open a little bit, and maybe 200 or 300 of the crickets got out. And I may have been told, what the fuck is all the crickets doing around the house? Because they're singing in the attic, they're singing everywhere. Thankfully, they die fairly quickly, though.
Yeah. Could you not just released all the babies to go and eat them?
No, because the cats would have eaten the babies.
It's this like vicious circle of life.
Would have been like that Simpsons episode.
What Simpsons? Oh, the snakes?
Yeah. Remember when Bart kills the baby, the mother Robin?
Oh, yeah. He has to incubate the babies then.
Yeah.
So, like, when you say they'll eat anything, like, will they eat like even like domesticated? Will they eat like Irish bugs? Will they eat a house spider and all?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And they'd even cannibalize each other.
The babies?
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's why you have to keep the numbers of them as they get bigger, the numbers of them down in each wave. You have to keep splitting them down. And like some of the babies were born a bit decrepit, like with backwards legs and stuff like that. So I fed 3 of them to the mother. Yeah, I know. This is going to sound weird, really bad.
I'm very excited for this.
So it's natural, you know. It is what it is. I mean, agamids, which is the type of lizard that these are, it's a family. So they lay a high amount of eggs. You know, I mean, she laid 26 eggs. She can do that upwards of 9 to 10 times a year.
Wow.
Right? So if you get 26 eggs, that means that you're an animal that's predated on a lot. So, you know, you have to you play the numbers game in the wild. So some of the babies were a bit decrepit, so they went to the mother, and she scoffed them. She thought they were very juicy. She told me. And
wait, can I just ask, right?
Yeah.
When you feed the little decrepit babies to the mother,
yeah,
are they alive?
Yeah.
So you've got these like babies that can't walk,
yeah,
trying to run away.
They couldn't run away because they can't walk.
Okay, right.
And what was I going to do?
Fair enough.
I mean, because I looked up.
I asked what they ate, in fairness.
I looked up what's the most painless way of killing them, right? And the most painless way was, in my mind, was sitting them in the fridge or freezer and letting them die from the cold. But apparently, they're alive and they can feel the ice crystals forming in their blood, and it hurts them, and it's excruciating. So the mother crushes their skull and kills them instantly. Boom, done.
Great.
What am I going to do?
Fair.
Right? And then I have a Mexican black king snake, and they predate on lizards in the wild. So he may have got 2 or 3 as well.
What else do you have?
I
You
have.
have kittens as well, don't you?
Yeah, correct.
You haven't fed any of them.
No, I was going to though.
Why?
Because it would have been cool. No, I wouldn't feed kittens. Like
I really hope like no one from like PETA or anything listens to this.
Who's Peter? No, it's good. Like it's the kittens are cool, but I have 2 boas, a ball python, a corn snake, and a Mexican black king snake.
Like, what is keeping all these different animals? Like, you've just one room that's like a terrarium.
Yeah, basically. So I have terrariums or vivariums in the room. I also keep a little space heater in the room on a timer, so it goes off every like 2 or 3 hours to keep the room in the sort of lower 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And it just keeps everything ticking over. Because in the winter time, that room in particular, because it's upstairs, gets quite cold, so I need to keep it warm.
And is the long-term goal, like as the world's strongest bearded dragon breeder, is it to like become like somebody that sells these animals?
Yeah, pretty much. I'd love to do it overall, but you know, I mean, the time and the money that it takes to truly make money from this stuff is wild, and the space. I mean, I know guys doing it over in the States, and you're talking, they have 60, 70, 80 adults breeding, but they have a massive pool of people to sell to with America, whereas in Ireland our pool is minuscule.
The network doesn't exist quite. Yeah,
same as with powerlifting.
You could be an early adopter.
Yeah.
I think might be able to talk Vinny into taking one of them if they eat spiders. Do you know he's terrified of spiders?
Oh man, well, I don't understand why people are afraid of spiders.
But he'd eat anything, Vinny would. He'd eat the bollocks off a kangaroo, like. But he wouldn't.
Why is that, do you think?
I'm just saying, as things he would eat, he'd eat anything.
Is that something to do with him as a person?
What, not liking spiders?
No,
eating
anything.
I don't want to imply anything. He's my friend. But you get what I'm getting at. Like, it's mad to me that like right, he would like confidently like hold a snake. He'd hold a lizard. He'd hold something that could like probably hurt him.
Yeah,
really, But he's terrified little brown long-legged yoke on the ground. Like, yeah, and I wouldn't mind, but like Vinny's like, I wouldn't call Vinny a softie. He's a tough enough guy,
Yeah,
Have you seen him hitting pads with Dave?
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, man, he's really got fast hands.
He's good, like, yeah. He's boxed before, I believe. He's had a fight, I think I've seen on YouTube.
And he's done Muay Thai as well.
Yeah, that's right. He's quite a well-rounded athlete,
Yeah.
Shame he's terrible at powerlifting. I'm only joking. Vinny, I'm only joking.
He's not. He's sitting here like, he is.
Do you know, no, honestly, right, do you know what it is? And I think it's one of the mad things to see. So naturally, Vinny and I work in a commercial gym.
Yeah.
Vinny is genuinely like one of the strongest people to ever step foot through that door. Yep. He's probably the second strongest person that works there. Do you know?
Well, is Evan the strongest?
No, definitely me. But the point I'm getting at is that like it's only in comparison to some of the absolute monsters down in abs powerlifting and across the powerlifting scene, not just in this country, but across the world. He looks very average, but he still has 400 dots, and people watching at home will probably know dots is the formula that we rate powerlifters on. Yeah. But like, we look at that, so Vinny is like light years ahead of what an average gym girl would be. But then we look at like the roster of athletes, and then you mentioned that core group of guys you're training with: Colin Larkin Lynch, Eamon Hartford, Ben Crawwell, who we had on.
It's bloody Crockwell. Will you say it properly?
I asked him, and he said he didn't mind.
That's because you say it wrong, and he felt sorry for you.
I'm not from the south side, right? In any case, you then represent a very, very tiny percentage, not just of people in the gym or that do powerlifting, but even just in the world, as one of the only people in the world that's ever totaled between your squat, bench, and deadlift 1,000 kilos. Somebody who had, like, as we mentioned earlier on, one of your titles is world's strongest bearded dragon breeder, but the other one is actually genuinely Mr. 1K, first man in Ireland to total 1,000.
Yeah,
like, I really obviously, like, yeah, we're having a laugh, but I want to delve into some of these feats of strength. Like,
absolutely,
your first 400 squat, the fact that you've totaled 1,000 kilos, you've since gone on to squat 430 kilos, which, like we talked about in the car before, like, I think that is incredibly slept on. That's a 30 kilo jump in like what, less than 2 years?
Yeah, I think overall, what was it? I think it was only from November, the end of November to August, 30 kilo jump.
That is bananas, like a year, if even.
And now, I mean, April, I'm looking for a lot more. But I just was lucky. Like, I know that sounds crazy. I'm lucky with my little 2-inch femurs, you know, and my upright squat. But I also, I genuinely believe I can squat the most weight that any man in the history of the world has ever squat.
That's what it's going to be. That's what you're aiming for.
That's what I want.
Like, so, right, let's look at some milestones then. So it was Ab Series 3 back in December 2019.
Yeah.
That you squatted your
December
first.
1st.
That's right. You squatted your first ever 400 kilo squat.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned this to you in the car. I remember when I joined ABS. So I joined ABS in March 2019. And I remember at the time, I think you went on an AB Series, the first ever AB Series, squatted 380.
Yep. Yeah. And they loaded up bar weird, but anyways.
Yeah. But in any case, like 380 to 400 seemed like that was a much bigger mountain to climb. Like, talk me through that. Because I know you attempted the 400 prior.
Yeah. So basically, when I attempted at 400 in April, and I fell short. I literally, there was no, hit the hole. I was standing a little bit too wide, and this all will amalgamate together, I promise. So I was standing a little bit too wide for what that next strength level, okay? So when then we were training for ABS Pro in 2019, which I placed second, and I had lost, I ended up missing a 385 on depth, and I wanted to take the 400, or the swing of 400. Jay and I then discussed, and we sort of said, let's play it safe, we'll go 390. But in that lead up to that, I learned that I couldn't walk out those mega weights with that stupid wide stance I used to have. So I kind of just changed my stance. And the explosion out of the hole, God, that sounds so bad. But the explosion out of the hole increased exponentially. So it was huge. The jump was just massive. And I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. So I worked hard, and you know, it's funny. I came in the 7 days after that ABS Pro 2019, and I squat 400 for the first time. Now, I had squatted years prior, quite high in Layak when I used to train under Eamon Harford. And then, but this was a genuine attempt, walked out, power bar, you know, in front of everybody, and I went balls deep on it. And yeah, it wasn't until then, December, that I got my chance to redeem myself and hit that 400. But it was, when I hit that 400, it was there. It was there in April. I just hadn't figured out how to do it. It was there in August, and I just didn't get my chance. And so that kind of leap into that 430, it was just, all it needed was a little bit of tweaking and a little bit of this, and I was there, you know. Now I feel like the next 30 kilos, 25, 30 kilos, this is where the work that I'm doing now has to be found. I have to find out how to get a thicker anterior chain and stronger, because when you kind of lift those mega weights, it wants to bend you over and fuck you. Like, I mean, I can't describe it any other way. It wants to snap you in half and fuck you.
Well, this is what I was going to say. I was mentioning, as you were talking about there, like, I think when you get up to those weights, it's tiny things that the average lifter doesn't have to think about. Exactly how you walk out, what exact stance you take, you know, like as you mentioned, the weight is literally trying to bend you in half. Before we started, when Dan was asking about what it felt like to have 400 kilos on your back, it's gravity defying.
Yeah.
You know, like that is, and it's like, I think I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned it with Ben, but Ben and I were talking about it while we were here last time. And it's that case that I don't think people can really quantify what it's like to be lifting that kind of weight, because, you know, 100 kilos and 200, it isn't, you know, twice as hard to squat 200 to 100, and it isn't twice as hard to squat 400 to 200. It's mind-boggling numbers. Like, and that's what I mean. There's so few people on the face of the earth that will ever contend with those kinds of weights. So you can only, you're the only person that can give that kind of unique perspective that, you know, well, I know there's a couple of other people that have done it, but still, you get what I'm getting at. So, like, even down to the first time you did it, you're walking out to do it.
Yeah.
What's going through your head?
Don't fuck it up.
Simple.
That's me and Jay's little cue for each other. Like he'll smack me, or I'll just whisper. We'll lean into each other, and I'm like, "Don't fuck it up. Don't be shit." Stuff like that. those are the moments where I know how good a coach Jay is, because he knows I don't need fuck all else. It's those little moments, and life is made up of those little moments and those little moments get you into something big. And I find with Jay, and with me, I've with my coaching, or when I try and help people, I kind of bastardized the way Jay has helped me, because I found it so successful, and I see how successful it is with his lifters, But
do you think his approach keeps you grounded? Like, you're not getting in your head about what the weight's on the bar. It's like you've done millions of squats at this stage.
Yeah.
Just go out there, don't take it any differently, don't fuck it up, you know what you're doing.
Yeah. I definitely, and something that I don't know if you remember. You remember the countdown? And I'm not talking about the TV program. Is Jay used to do this thing because I was such an angry dick, and I, after a squat, I'd be like, "That's fucking shit," and he'd just start counting down 10, 9. Don't talk to Jake. Do you know what I mean? And it was a piss take, and then it became funny, and then it became me chilling out, and he was. Over time, I know this sounds mad, but over time he trained me to just calm the fuck down. And then Jer, he was a great training partner, and people sleep on Jer as a training partner because he will big you up no matter what, Even if it like moves at an RP12, he was like, "Oh yeah, that's a 7, man. That's a 7. That's great." And I'm like, "Jer, shut the fuck up." He's like, "No, that was a 7.5 max." And he's great. And Jer and me discovered that stupid music like Britney and
it's Britney, bitch.
Yeah, and Pussycat Dolls. We discovered that I love that kind of music, and it kind of snaps me out of the seriousness of it and makes me go, "Yeah, no, we've done this. We can do this." We don't need that big dramatic music, and it's why I don't like being applauded as well. Because fuck it, like don't be cheering me for a 400 kilo squat. We've done hundreds of them. Maybe when I squat 1,000, you can cheer for me.
I think for most people, though, especially like, let's say it's a training squat, most of the people now, especially that abs has exploded in popularity since everything reopened after the lockdown, they've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
So I think it's just natural for people. Like, people clap when the plane lands.
I know, yeah.
This is something exceptional. Like, the likelihood is, for many of these lifters, you're probably the first, and in some cases, last person to ever actually physically see walk out and squat 400 kilos. Like, and I don't think that can be overstated. You know what I mean? It's a shocking amount of weight. Like, and that's what I mean. So the very fact that your mindset around it is that like grounded, I think, remember for you, this has 400 has become in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
400 something you can hit fairly confidently most of the time. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So,
like, if push came to shove and I walked into the gym tomorrow, I'd squat 400 kilos.
Absolutely. I don't disagree at all. So you hit the 400, Ab Series 3 is concluded. Where's your head at then?
1,000.
It was straight on to the next.
No, there was no thinking.
Didn't stop and smell the roses once.
No, 1,000 in April. That was what it was. It was like I squatted 400 and I was like, yay, fuck it, let's go. Next.
And then so you got your first 1,000 kilo total between squat, bench and deadlift at Ab Series 5.
Yes.
So the Ab Series 3 was obviously our last abs series before the lockdowns came in. Then we had Ab Series 4 in August 2020.
Yeah.
Ab Series 5 then that November, I believe.
Yeah, late November. It was meant to be a pro.
Yeah, I remember. And he changed it like a week out or something.
Yep.
So you were still officially not an abs pro winner.
Yep. He loves to stick that one in me.
I did like the story the other day when you totaled 1,000 all those series ago.
Oh, yeah, no, he's such a fucker. I love it. But that's his way. Again, that's constant. That's his coaching for me. Like,
it works, obviously.
It works. He knows it's just how it works. But that's what Jay is a master of that for everybody. Like, it's not just me, and it's not just his big lifters, because Jay considers everybody a big lifter. If you're good enough to train with Jay, and I mean, I know that sounds really fucking big-headed, but if you're good enough for him to take an interest in you and want to coach you, then you're a big lifter to him, And that's, the running joke is, if you ever see him coaching somebody in the gym, they're good.
I mean, it's not bad.
No. But if he puts like Listis, when she came in, I was like, oh yeah, she must be good. And then yesterday,
And she is.
Well, she's okay. No, Listis is a freak, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you watch her do the 180 by 8 the other week?
I've seen it, yeah.
Right? And yet her top set is 205. And I think this is where people forget. They kind of go, oh yeah, she's going to squat 230, she's going to squat 240. And I don't doubt that. I know she will. I have absolutely every faith in that young woman. She's super strong and super determined. But it was like the 380 to 400, and it's that kind of leap of strength. Like 207 could crush her, could fold her now, even though she can do 180 for 8. It's her youth and her inexperience is still showing a little bit in that top end weight.
Well, it's a different animal when you start climbing up in those weights. Yeah. It changes.
And she is ridiculously strong, but the mastery of weight has still yet to come. That sort of way. That's not a knock on her. It's going to come. I know it is.
I get what you're getting at. You're saying her best is yet to come. Oh. As good as she is now, if she stays in this another 3, 4, 5 years, she's probably going to be in the top 10 female lifters in the world in the IPF for sure.
Absolutely. You've been 4 or 5 years.
I don't doubt it. Not a bit. Yeah. I think that's one of the things. I think a lot of people talk about her natural talent, her natural strength, but I think sometimes people underestimate her work ethic. Her work ethic's phenomenal.
Monster.
But this is what I mean. So when we look back, that's what I'm saying about your 1,000 kilos. So you had decided in December 2019, the next thing is 1,000 kilos. And I know you trained during all that period of time, at least to the best of your ability.
Oh yeah, we travelled down to Carlo.
What? Which we can talk about now. Yeah. So what amount of work, how consistent, what was your work ethic like between?
Never stopped. 3 days a week, we travelled down to Carlo. Thank Richard Looney, who owns Monsters Gym, was gracious enough to allow us to train down there. Not that he was open during lockdown. That wouldn't be Richard's style.
Everybody stayed 2 meters apart.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even in the car.
Yeah.
And Richard is now over in Ukraine fighting the war.
No way.
Yeah, man. He volunteered and he's over there fighting the Russians.
Wow.
Yeah, he has been since pretty much day one.
Jesus.
Yeah, he's a legend. Now I don't know why I wouldn't go over. Fair play to him though. It's not just not
stay here and lift the weights, man.
Yeah, it's not in my wheelhouse, but it's in his. But Richard also makes some of the nicest logs in the world. Like, have you ever seen some of the logs?
The strongman stuff he's got?
Yeah, incredible. He's an artiste. But we were going down there 3 days a week. Me, Joe the Beard, and Jay. And it was hard. It was hard, man. After about a month and a half, we were getting worn out with it all.
It's a long way to go.
Yeah. It's an hour's drive every 3 days. We were down Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And luckily petrol was only like €1 at the time.
The good times.
Yeah. And we were down. And then Jay managed to get where we are now. Mm-hmm. And we broke into old abs.
Got all the gear
in one day. And we just absolutely just done it. We just done a massive swap over in one day. And
it's mad that to this day there's still work going into that gym to improve it.
Yeah.
Like that club is I think infinitely better than the old one.
Yes. Space wise not so much, but
you know what? But I mean, I think he's always rethinking how to utilize the space.
Yes, he's gotten better, and all the time his mind's thinking.
For sure, like even that, like the way now we've got this open day for the series lifters on the 6th, and he's running the day passes. That's something he and I talked about for a while before it became a thing, but he's always receptive to ideas, which is a sign of a good leader. Like, listens to the other people around him.
Yeah, but he just pretends that they're his ideas.
That's fine. As long as who cares whose idea it was, as long as it happens.
Yeah, I know.
But then, so coming in then to November 2020 and you're totaling this 1,000 kilos.
Yeah.
Was there ever anything in doubt on the day that you were going to hit it, or was it like, was that the most on fire you've ever been? Because that was a great day for you.
That was a great day. That was my first 9 for 9. I was shitting a brick, man.
You dominated though.
Yeah, I was shitting a brick the whole time. I honestly was, yeah.
Did you think you were going to fall short?
I always do.
Where would you have gone wrong?
Deadlifts. Where else?
Yeah, well, I wanted you to say it, not me.
Yeah, listen, I have no problem. Unfortunately, this grip issue thing has, as we all know, anybody who's listening to this and wants to listen to me, which isn't that many, they know that I've struggled. I struggle with my stance. I struggle with my grip. I struggle with a lot of it. I'm also a slow learner when it comes to deadlifts. I keep going down the same path, thinking I'm going to get different results. You and I, we've spoken recently about my stance, my grip change and my stance change, and we've seen, massive difference in the way I'm performing the deadlifts. I think that's going to have, as I keep mastering this, it will definitely have massive carryover. But it took me 2.5 years, 2 years, whatever, to learn. That's a dumb motherfucker.
I mean,
that's a dumb motherfucker. That's a stubborn motherfucker. But that same stubbornness is what got me the grand.
Yeah.
Do you know? So I kind of
pros and cons.
Pros and cons. You gotta be sick in the head. Like, I went to a different place though to get to 1,000. Different place. Like, I mean, I was obsessed, day and night, obsessed. And I'm actually currently more in my head now than I was then. And in a better, more positive manner. I don't know if that's good or bad. Because positivity, I don't know if it's positivity is as good as people think it is.
Well, the way I would put it to you is this. We're this far out from Clash of the Titans in April next year, April 2023. And this is some serious training you guys are doing. And we've talked about it before. I've seen posts about it before. Generally, the reason most lifters in powerlifting has struggled to come out of just being another mediocre powerlifter is because they only get serious about a competition 6 to 8 weeks out.
Absolutely.
And you've said yourself, you've had commentary, you're only about 12 weeks out, you're starting to take it seriously. Right now you've 6 months or thereabouts.
Yeah, I think it's 21 weeks left.
That's a long time.
It's a long time, man. I'm doubling 340 on a fucking squat on a safety bar. It's
exciting. It's exciting to see.
I'm excited for.
And congrats on the PB.
Cheers, man. That's another thing that we never really you get balls deep into this sport, and once you make it past being a poppy, and what I mean by a poppy is you know what I mean. Like, it's this pop culture powerlifter shit that's going on at the moment. That term was coined by Donnie Thompson, one of my idols. I absolutely love the dude. He's a legend, has taught me loads without actually having to teach me. But this whole thing of 18 months and they're gone.
Yeah, happens a lot.
A lot.
I think it happens to people in a lot of different things, though, not just powerlifting.
No, not just powerlifting, but because powerlifting is a small pool, you see them come and go.
Well, I think what a lot of it is that when people... So most people, when they train, they're training to be, fit, strong, healthy, lean. They're kind of like trying to be a 6 out of 10 in everything.
Yeah.
Whereas powerlifting, you're narrowing the scope to be really good at squat, bench, and deadlift.
Yeah.
So when people develop, so let's say over the course of their first year, they're making what's essentially their powerlifting newbie gains.
Oh, I love them.
They're getting really good. They're putting 10 kilos on the bar every month. Do you know what I mean? Like, weights are going up and up and up and up, and then they hit that plateau where they actually have to start considering sleep, nutrition, managing stress, training volume, what variations to use, if any, how regularly they're training, when they train, who they train with, what environment they train in, even like some technical differences that might be holding them back, if they're moving slightly less than efficiently, things like that. And that's when it starts to be, and they do all that for the sake of 2.5 kilos every other comp.
If they're lucky.
So this is exactly what I mean. I think it's when they hit that and it's like, it's not worth the trouble. They'd rather stay in like the newbie gains phase in a different thing. They move on to something new, something different.
And that's great for them. And if they can. My big thing is when these newbie gains, like, I watch people that are doing the sport, a year and a half, 2 years. I'm like, why are you still fucking up like a newbie? Stupid walkouts. Like, big, huge, long strides. Why are you walking 200 kilos back that far? Just step back. 2 baby steps and you're done. That's all it takes.
Well, so as the sport grows, right? And even in the time I've been in it, I've seen the sport grow a lot.
Yeah.
And I think lockdown some of that because powerlifting was the easiest thing to train for.
Yeah.
All you need is a bar and a rack and a bench, And then I think that's partly responsible. And then things like Instagram, I think, have helped a lot, the visibility of sport. And it's something relatable. Like, say, like Olympic weightlifting, for example. It's not really relatable for people to understand throwing a bar up over their head and catch it. It's very cool if you understand how biomechanics work, how physics works, it's deadly.
Yeah, if you can do 250 over your head, that's wild.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know? So this is what I'm trying to say. Whereas I think most people that go to the gym, it's a much easier scope of understanding. People like, oh, I only squat 40 kilos and that girl squat 140 kilos. That's crazy. So it's more relatable to people.
Definitely.
You know? So that means you're going to capture a bigger pool of individuals that will come in. Some of those are going to go on to become excellent powerlifters, as we've seen.
Yeah.
The majority are probably going to be, you know, most people just middle of the road. They're decent. They're varying levels of okay to very good. And also then you're going to have people that just aren't natural to the sport. But in all those people, you're also going to have personality types. Some are going to be receptive to criticism, feedback, growth mindset, and other people are going to be very much set in their ways. And as much as we say it, sometimes people will, in all sports, whether it's combat sports, field sports, in our case, barbell sports, they're going to have a hard time checking the ego at the door. And you will see that. They will still be making amateuristic mistakes 2-3 years in because either they have never asked or they've never listened.
Usually it's the latter of the two. You know, because especially in abs, if you're fucking up, if you're making a mistake, it's going to get shouted at you.
Good.
You know, good, I love it. You know, for me, I break down the lifts pretty much into the moment you touch the bar is when the lift begins. Mm-hmm. Squat and bench and deadlift. Okay, yeah, I know I let go of the bar too soon, but whatever. That's when the lift begins, you know. Even beforehand, even when you're just getting to it. Like, it's the micro moments. It's the, like, funny, I was going up to the squat to 420 last competition, and I put my right hand on the bar first. I took my hand off, and then I put my left hand on the bar first, because that's what I always do.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter.
Repeatability, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't matter. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you changing? And it's stupid, but those are the things. It's those micro moments that matter. Because then I put my left hand under the bar, right hand onto the bar, step back, left, right, done. You know, that's where I'm at. It's minimizing the butterfly like effect.
Oh, I get you. My very first comp. Right. So first ever ab series, April 2019. When you were competing, that's what I was saying. I didn't realize it was going to be as wild as it was.
Oh yeah,
because you and Eamon and I were in the back, and I was like, I'm here in my CrossFit knee sleeves.
Don't
know what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't know we were going to be using a 25 kilo bar.
Okay.
So I walked out and I unracked I walked out of a monolift, right? Yeah. In my CrossFit knee sleeves. And I was like, this thing is so thick. And I went, always have
that's what she said.
And this is going to get worse. I always have my full thumb around it. But I was like, and I walked out, and just before I got the command, I like took my thumb off, and I went, no, that's stupid. Why would I do that? Just be uncomfortable for 5 minutes, or 30 seconds. So it was fine.
Yeah. But because you knew you couldn't change, even though it wasn't in your spectrum at that moment.
Well, something was already different. The bar was different. The plates were different. So I was trying to minimize, like you said, the number of things that were different. So, like last time I bring up the 1,000 kilos, I want to know, was that how that came about? That process is that you were like everything was just regimented, do everything the same for months and months and months and months, and it just all came together in that 9 for 9 1,000 kilo total.
Yes, no, maybe. I wish I could repeat, like Ben Crockwell. Not Crockwell. Okay. But no, Brennan Crockwell, he is Mr. Regimented, and I admire that through and through. I genuinely think it's an incredible thing to have, you know. I'm not so much like that. Like, I really, as we all know, I'm a bit of a fucking mong. But when I was doing it, I just knew in, train. I didn't do anything. I didn't know anything else. I just took my mind out of being anywhere but that moment, you know. It's weird. It's like I just was in that moment of get it done. Don't be a fucking pussy about it. We just... If I'm 155, I'm 155. If I'm 160, I'm 160. It doesn't matter. It has to go down. I have to do this lift. I have to do this 1,000. And it was the most underwhelming moment of my life. Absolutely, through and through, the most underwhelming moment of my life. You think that there's going to be just some fucking like parade. Jake, It was like letting the air out of a balloon. And it took me a long time to get over it. It's weird. It's fucking weird. You know, it's like you hit this peak, you hit it, it's like you get to the top of it, and then it's a sheer drop. And it's not like a little slowly. It's a sheer drop. And you cannot not go down it. So that's why I've decided that I have set my goal at 1,200 kilo total. So then I can't fucking fall off it again. And if I do hit 1,200 happy days, I'll be willing to take that fall. You know? Because it is painful, man. And mentally, it's painful. And some other stuff went down in my life at the time, which didn't help. But that was the biggest contributor. That and drugs. You know?
Like, so just on that point, like, obviously you had sacrificed like months and years of your health, months and years of your life, you know, opportunities, relationships, you know, both you know, personal, professional, whatever, like time with family. You've dedicated so much to this, and you got what you wanted. You got the 1,000 kilo total.
Yeah.
And you're saying, so afterwards, unlike when you squat the 400, there was no, okay, on to the next thing. It was like,
there was nowhere else to go.
There was nowhere else to go.
Because I hadn't set the goal. I've always, I don't know, people have asked me about it before. I used to always, and I have still, I used to set my goals way out of my reach. And I still do. But at that moment, that was the goal. Now, I didn't think of 1,100. I didn't think of 1,200. That was the goal. And then I hit it.
You reached the unreachable goal.
Right? And it was like, never meet your heroes, you know? That was exactly what it was like. And it was just straight drop down. And man, that traffic, climbing back up has been hard. Because as steep as it was to get it up that 1,000, it's even steeper getting up there again, you know?
Yeah, like I've prepped for some comps with you, and naturally the person you are now, sitting here chilling out, and the person you are when you're 6 weeks out, 5 weeks out, 4 weeks out is a little different.
Yes.
So the things you've been willing to do to get there, like specifically, you know, I talked to Ben previously about his steroid use.
Did Ben uses steroids?
I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
Oh, no way.
But so naturally he's very candid about it. I know you have also used them for a prolonged period of time, but like, I want to get into it, but just
absolutely, whatever you want.
To kind of jump into the end part a little bit, do you think, being now somebody who has totaled 1,000 kilos, it's been worth it?
Yep. Without a doubt, every day of the week. Always want to be the first at everything. Who the fuck doesn't want to win? No man in this country will ever take that away from me. So fuck yes. Right?
Yeah.
You know, first man to squat a 400, first man to total 1,000. I'll be the first man to squat fucking 1,000 pounds, and I'll be the first man in Ireland to do a 1,100 kilo total. So fuck yes. That's all I give a fuck about, man. Winning is winning. Okay, I may not have won a few comps for the last year or two. Who was it? Somebody wrote in to Jay, Mr. No Podium.
One of your other titles.
Yeah. Mr. 1K or Mr. No Podium. He's right. I didn't podium the last competition. The first one since 2018. I haven't podiumed or won. You know, the competition's getting better. And I wasn't. You know, and it was a fucking wake up call, man. Losing is a good wake up call. Like, I mean, failure should be mocked. I believe it.
In the same way, like I said, I don't think we should necessarily celebrate mediocrity. I also, like, in one way, I think people should forgive themselves if they fall short. But like that, if you're repeatedly falling short, you need to take a harder look in the mirror. If that's what you want to be, if you want to be that person and you repeatedly fall short of this goal through your own inaction or your own lack of preparation, the only person you have to blame is yourself.
Absolutely.
But like, walk me back, because I know, so like, we went to the same school. You were a year above me, and I knew even when we were in secondary school, you were a bit of a party animal.
Oh yeah, I love drugs. All of them. Sorry.
So across that period of time from like what, 15, 16, 17?
So then I was just a stoner.
Right.
And just found drink. I love playing rugby, don't get me wrong.
You've always been big, stocky fella, like.
Yeah, you mean chunky?
No, but genuinely, like, I mean, and this is one thing, like, Ben actually said this about you when we were talking, like, you've got real density through your arms, shoulders, chest, and traps, you know what I mean? Like, you can see that even though you're a big soft cunt, you know what I mean? You do have a good amount of muscle under there.
Yeah,
you know?
I just have a big belly at the moment. It's got to go. But I also need that for stability, man.
Yeah, it comes with being a super heavyweight lifter.
Yeah.
You would not be handling the weights you're handling without being as big and dense as you are.
Yeah.
So fair enough. But that's what I'm saying. Even from a younger age, you've always been a bigger, more jacked dude.
Yeah.
So, and as you said, you played rugby, you like a bit of weed.
Loved a bit of weed. It didn't like me. It gave me massive fucking head fucks. Like still now, like I can go out and snort a couple of bags of coke for Saturday night, and I'll be better off than if I went and smoked a couple of joints. You know, but that's me. It just doesn't agree with my brain chemistry.
So what happened along that pathway? You leave school. I know you're a bit of a party animal. You moved to Oz.
Yeah. So basically, oh man, that was a wild few years between Australia and leaving school. Got a job. Went out in a session constantly. Lived on fucking cocaine, Lucozade Sport, and cider and shots, man. Literally, that was my life. I was a fucking spacer, and spent my youth chasing pussy, and got led around by my Mickey, like a lot of us did as a young man, and then I just fucking I met my ex Sarah, fell in love. Yeah, I know. And we decided to move to Australia. And we moved to Australia, and I had lost tons of weight. I kind of bypassed a big patch of my life there because I kind of draw a blank on it. But I went through a massive bout of depression over 2 years, to the point where I wasn't even getting off the couch, man, for days on end, like just to get up and piss. That was about it. Massive bouts of depression. I still have them. I still get big bouts of depression where getting out of bed can be hard. I'm getting better all the time. I don't take medication for it because it probably wouldn't do much for me. I take too many other drugs.
A bit of a cocktail to be added.
But when it was funny, I went to the doctor finally. I went to the doctor after about 2 years, and I told him I was sick and blah blah blah. And he goes, all right, yeah, there's some medication for you. I was like, that's it? He was like, yeah, that'll make you better. I was like, what are they? He goes, antidepressants. I went up and I got them and I put them on my fucking bedside locker. And I was like, no, not taking them. Fuck that shit. I'll just make myself better. And this was the first time I overcame. And the next day, because I'd gotten super fat. I know I'm fat now, lads, don't worry, I know. But I'd gotten super fat and gelatinous, As Joe used to say, I look like an egg. I'd gotten super fat and gelatinous, and I wasn't lifting at the time. I'd never even been to a gym, really. Oh, that's another story, but...
The shorts.
Yeah.
Tell the story.
Okay. So, after I decided to make myself better, I decided I'd go to a gym, and... where what Image Fitness is now in Swords, there used to be another bodybuilders gym, and it was the Mecca. Well, not the Mecca, but it was a pretty big gym, a lot of big bodybuilders there. And I had no shorts, and so I went to Penny's and I bought a pair of shorts, and I was super embarrassed and body conscious, so I wouldn't try on the shorts in Penny's. So I brought them because I used to hate trying on clothes. So I brought them to the gym, and they wouldn't fit me because I was too fat. So I tried ripping the netting out of them, and I panicked because they still wouldn't fit. So after paying my day pass, I fucking just packed my bag up and legged it.
So you're leaving the gym, an unused day pass, and this big torn up pair of shorts.
Yeah, pretty much, man. And I never went back to the gym, but I did every day make better choices food-wise. Pretty much I just starved myself into losing weight. Better food choice. I just starved myself into losing weight. Got up, went outside. Got up, went outside. Got up, went outside. Ate less shit.
Are you still drinking and all that during this time?
No, for a few months I quit drinking. Not altogether, but then I lost weight. I got my teeth whitened, and I found my confidence. And then I was out and about, and I was living my life a bit better, and confidence helps, man. Fuck. Depression can be killed by confidence. That's the truth. And so went out and I fucking was linking up with girls, and you know, I met Sarah, the love I love of my life. We, you know, if we're lucky, we get a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up traveling to Australia together, and I started to get fat again, because that's what you do when you're in relationships. Ask all the girls. And I decided I'd join a gym called RBT. It was Body Transformation Gym. And yeah, I just fucking, I loved it. I was like really good at whatever they threw at us. You know, it didn't matter. Fitness wise, running, fucking rowing, didn't matter. But the strength was what I was really good at.
Mm.
Jake, squat that. Okay, Jake, squat more. Jake, squat more. More. And that was it. I knew strength was for me. But I knew strength was for me from when I was a little baby.
Right.
I always knew I was going to be the strongest man in the world. I know that sounds fucking weird. But I remember years ago, I was with my dad and I seen Glenn Ross lifting a car. The daddy, big Glenn Ross. And I was going, I could lift more than that. I was 9 years old. And I knew I was stronger than him. I know that sounds fucking stupid, even at 9. But I knew I was stronger than him. And my dad was laughing at me. And I knew...
He's not laughing now.
No, he's not laughing now. But my dad's... What's funny, my dad sounds a pound. Right? I love my dad. And anybody that has met my dad knows he's fucking off his rocker. But like, he introduces me as the strongest man in Ireland all the time. And I'm like, Dad, strongest power lifter. And I know, Jesse, if you're listening, I'm not on that.
Or Wilkes.
Sorry, Jesse, yeah.
Well, like, so you knew from a young age strength was something you gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And that had naturally carried you into powerlifting. I know for a while you trained with Jamie Hanratty as well.
Yeah, I did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had always kept coming back to like barbell strength training. I know you're a fan of like using the different implements and things like that to do in strongman for your conditioning work as well.
Yeah.
I know you guys have seen you doing your sleds and things like that. So that's pretty cool. So it was in Oz you found powerlifting, am I right?
Yes, with Ange Galadi and Barry Murray. I'll fucking bounce a plate off your head if you look me in the eye again, Jake. I actually didn't know my name at that time. I was a complete stranger to him, and Barry threatened to bounce a plate off my head.
Well, I mean, and now at least I know where you learned the etiquette from. Now, was it while you were there you discovered steroid use as well?
Yep, yeah.
All from the one spot, powerlifting and
pretty much, yeah.
And the drugs.
Yeah.
So you drawn into powerlifting, then you decided to compete there as well.
Yeah, I done one in Melbourne after 2 weeks of powerlifting training. I totaled 725, 285, 155, 285. Nice. And I missed my deadlift. Yeah, lads, I know. It's
your third attempt?
No, second and third. It's a fucking running team.
Yeah. Seems like a thing.
Yeah.
It's like as good as you are at squats, you're that bad at deads.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Thanks, Ian.
Right in the heart, you know what I mean? With all the love in the world, you suck at deadlifts.
Yeah, I do.
Nah, not at all. But like, so what was the mindset for that? Like, did you just see taking steroids as part of being a powerlifter?
Yeah.
It was just part of being a powerlifter.
I walked into the gym, they all took them. I was like, and I had reached the pinnacle in my mind. I'd already squat 275, pulled 300 with straps, and benched 140. I was like, where can I go? I'm only training. I was training 5 months at the time, 6 months. Like strength training, strictly strength training. There was nowhere else for me to go. How could I get stronger without steroids?
Right.
Also, it was giving myself the excuse to take steroids because I wanted to try them.
Was it easier for you because you'd already had experience with drugs? Do you think?
Yeah. Because, man...
Just another needle?
Oh, man. No, I never done needles. No, I never tried heroin. I swear, mammy, I never done heroin. No, it's... man, the first time I injected myself, I was breaking out in such a sweat of nerves. I done a little half mil of prop in my left shoulder. I swear to God, I was sort of peppering. I was like shaking.
What's prop?
Prop, testosterone propionate. It's a steroid, you know? And I done it in my left shoulder. I used to use the eye on one of my tattoos as a marker. Man, it stung like fuck.
Yeah. Do you still do it yourself?
Yeah. I do my legs though. I do my legs. I tried doing it on my ass, but it's like the needle keeps moving inside.
Jesus Christ. The little considerations you don't have to think about.
Yeah, but like my legs get real lumpy sometimes after when you're doing a lot of it.
Now, here's the question. So what year is this?
2020. Oh, what a year.
Oh, well, I know what year it is now.
Sorry.
I mean, what year did you start taking?
I started taking steroids in late February 2016.
And have you been on consistently since?
Pretty much. I take time off though. I take 2 and 3 months off.
Do you do PCT in between?
No, sometimes I'll just quit. And now I've learned, if you quit cold turkey after taking a shit ton of drugs, it will fuck you up even worse than the drugs. So you got to maintain and pay attention. Like, I have fucked up so much with drugs. I can tell you that I was told to take this, and I can tell you that this was told to me. Jake Brennan was the one that put the needle in his legs.
Right.
You know?
Well, like, talk me through it. So, like, you start, and obviously now you've been taking them on and off now for, like, what, 8 years?
Yeah.
So you're a young guy, you start using, I think you've mentioned before, the dose you started on was too big.
Yes, way too big. Like, I mean, I was pretty much straight into a gram a week.
Wow.
You know, it was too much. Now, I know guys taking way more. That doesn't make it better or worse. It just makes it the facts. For me, I found it to be, personally, I find that I don't need that much, you know, to get good results. And it's overall, I think people overuse everything. It's like everything, man. We all have a tendency to do more. Like, if this gives me this much, what will twice that give me?
Yeah.
More is always more. But where it's diminishing returns. And the returns become diminishing rapidly with steroids, you know. Like, I mean, I have friends who've come to me for advice. I can only give them my experience. I can't give them advice.
Sure.
You know, I can't tell them what to do. My advice is always, like, from my experience, start off small and keep it small for as long as possible.
Yeah. Get away with the least you can for as long as you can.
Yeah.
And then let me ask you another question. What have you noticed about yourself over these 8 years that's changed? Like, naturally, you've matured into a different athlete. You're a different person than you would have been 8 years ago living in Australia.
Yeah.
But do you think the drugs have had an effect on who you are as a person?
Yeah. Definitely, man. Definitely.
So Ben talked us through a little bit, and he was talking about whatever you are is dialed up to 10.
Absolutely.
You know, so if you're an aggressive person, you're way more aggressive. If you're a horny person, you're way more horny.
What are you trying to say?
I'm just getting
Is that little semi you got over there?
You know what I'm getting at,
yeah.
though? So, like, what have you found in your experiences? Like, and that's, as you said, right? Naturally, neither of us are doctors.
No.
We can't tell people, like, genuinely what these things do and don't do. We can only talk about your experiences with it as somebody who uses. Do you know?
Well, Ben's right. It does. It jacks everything up, you know? Strength, recovery, anger, fucking emotions. It can make it emotional, a wreck, especially if your estrogen spikes. So many things can go wrong with it and right with it, you know? But I love drugs. I love steroids. I fucking love them. They make you, they make you confident. Sorry, that's wrong. They don't make you confident. They help to let you be confident.
They amp up the confidence you've got.
They set it free. They unrestrict this whole, like when I walk into a room, I know I'm the strongest there. That's it. You know, I mean, you've seen me with people. You've seen, like, I'm a fucking piss taker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always been a piss taker. But, like, being confident in who you are allows you to, I don't know, man. It's just like, walk through life in a better place.
Do you know the expression, it's better to be a soldier in a garden than a gardener in a war?
Yeah, I've heard it, yeah.
It's the same basic principle. Like, so, you know, I don't think, in my experience anyway, when you're not on prep, you're genuinely sound to be around, you're a cool guy to talk to, but like, you know, I would not say it has affected, in my experience, your personality negatively. Do you know? And like that, if it has lended you the confidence or self-assuredness to hold yourself well in social scenarios, that might be a benefit or a positive that's come out of your using. So, like, particularly you mentioned earlier on that you had gone through periods of time where you've been in, like, the lows of depression.
Yeah.
How has that interacted with your drug use?
So when I came off the first time back in 2017. So April 2017, I'd pretty much been on a year at that stage. April, May 2017. I also separated from my ex at that time. And I came off a massive dose. I was probably on guts 2 grams a week. Between train and like one day I put 5 mils of train into my leg. I was just mad. Still am a bit mad, but I wouldn't do that shit now. Anyways, when I came off everything because I was just like, fuck drugs, you know? And it hit me hard. It messed with everything. My head, my body, and my Mickey. It did, you know?
Mind, body, and spirit.
Mind, body, and spirit. And it did completely, you know? And it took me the guts of 12 months to get myself back on track and understanding the drug again, understanding my mind, and then slowly introduce, not this whole fucking more, slow and steady and grow into the drug again. And then I joined abs. Abs changed my fucking life, man.
Yes.
Abs changed my life. No ifs, but ands, or maybes. I wouldn't be in the sport today. I wouldn't have accomplished the stuff I've accomplished if it wasn't for abs. Not just Jay. Abs as a whole, as a crew. Louise, Noli, Louis, all of them, you know, they're legends. Even the Brick, you know. And Big Joe was one of the best training partners you can ever have. If he ever shows up again, I'll tell him that.
Yeah, I remember one of the last and first impressions I have of abs is you specifically talking about, you know, having a reliable trainer partner, even having somebody on the platform you can trust when you're out there, you're about to handle these monstrous weights. I know it as well. Like I would say that hands down, I always feel, whenever I walk out and Joe's back spotting me, I feel safe. I feel safe, yeah.
Feeling safe, it's like with anything in life, man. If you can feel secure, you can sleep better. You can squat better. Right?
For sure.
You know, so, and when I've got Joe there, all I hear is, yeah, okay, go. That's it. Joe just doesn't need to talk to me. We got each other. And like when I squat 430, it's funny, nobody really knows it other than me, Joe and Jay. It nearly came off my back. He said, don't fucking let go. Just whisper it in my ear because he's seen it roll. Don't let go, don't let go, don't let go. And he grabbed me as soon as they said rack. He was already there and he wrapped me up and shoved his shoulders into the bar. But they'd given the rack command, so it was fine, you know.
It was fine, yeah.
But yeah, and saved the day. But I mean, Joe's a legend, you know.
He is.
And but yeah, I wouldn't be where I am without those boys.
Well, this is it. Like, I mean, naturally, like, given everything, like, look, you're very candid and open about your pro steroids use, your pro drug use. You know what I mean? And you've been a really like controversial figure on Instagram in earlier days, particularly like when I first came into powerlifting. But I will give you this: you always shout out the people that help keep the sport what it is. You know, you always take the time to thank the spotters and loaders, the people like that run the shop and things like that, like the people that manage the back. You always give props where props are due. You know, like I remember one of my best comp ever is Ab Series 6. I made a mess on my second attempt. I took 280 for a second.
And you looked at the floor.
I looked at the floor. And you and Jay, within a minute of each other, came back and shouted at me. You know what I mean? What are you looking at the floor for? You know? Yeah. But to me, I was like, right, this is, like, I was very flattered that you both cared enough to come and bother even saying anything to me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I actually, do you know what? That day, my plan was if 280 moved well on the second, I was going to try 290 for the third. And based on how 280 came up for the third, then I was like, bollocks.
You could have done more that day.
I think so.
I think you would have been on track for a 295 that day.
Maybe, yeah. That was my best ever prep.
Yeah.
You know, but that was because I was training you guys.
That was the toxic rack.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was one toxic rack that day.
It was. Like, this is the thing as well, like, right? So you've mentioned before, you know, so over the course of time, years and years of use, you've managed to experiment and find what works for you, right? Mm-hmm. What happens to you when you use Trenbolone?
Oh, baby. Tren is amazing. And it's also, as amazing as it is, it's equally fucking shit. It just is. And people overuse it. People spend too long on it. And people... Do you remember when you were a teenager?
Yes.
Do you remember how much of a dick you were? Mm-hmm. Right? You're a dick like that times 1,000.
Wow.
On Tren. That's kind of that's the only way I can liken it to. You're a walking boner too. It is though, like, and it just warps your mind. And most people overuse Tren. Like, including me. Hands up. I'll say it. I've done it, and it's messed with me. It messes with your brain. It gives you a warped scope in the world, and it's amazing though. Like, I mean, the strength gains from it can be great. It shuts down the cortisol. You know, it stops any of that fucking the negatives of lack of sleep. So you stop sleeping, but it's shutting that down. You're taking so much training, it doesn't matter that you're not sleeping. So it's fucking weird, man. You know, you don't want to eat sometimes. I mean, it's all sorts of mad stuff. But you end up fucking lifting more weight. The problem for me, personally, is it messes with me mentally, and it also fucks with my elbows and shoulders. Right. Dries my joints out completely, and that's it, gone. Like 2 weeks on train, my shoulders go to shit. And so I've decided I'll never take it again.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I decided that prior to the last prep, because the prep before that, I was pausing 190, like, for the crack, jumped on train, and it was the first time I missed a bench.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So, like, with that, like, so naturally, train is a massive contributor to what lets you be, you know, Mr. 1000, the strongest bearded dragon breeder in the world. That helped you get there.
It did, yes.
Do you have any concerns about, like, the heights you can reach now without it?
No.
You think you're going to be fine?
I think I'm going to be better.
Brilliant. So with what has added, like, and you've mentioned, like, you know, you obviously feel super strong, super aggressive. Like, do you think that has caused some, like, problems in your life as well, being on that shit?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Bad decision making. Let's say that.
Right.
Bad decision making. And, you know, overall, it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for the mindset. It's unhealthy for everything, man.
Do you feel like a different person on it?
You are a different person on it. It's not
about... But do you know
no.
when you don't know when you're on that you're different?
No, because it warps you. It's like, man, it's like it brings down this fucking curtain of, it's hard to explain. I can't find the right terminology. You know, that's the way.
Right. A veil.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking through, like, tinted glasses almost at the world. Yeah.
Rose tinted glasses. That's a great term, man. Yeah. It's you're basically looking at the world differently, but you don't realize you're looking at the world differently, because it doesn't just go bump bump. It creeps in on you.
Right.
You know, it's like watching a puppy grow.
Right. One day they're massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so with that, do you notice then when you come off, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I was a monster.
I was a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, you were around the last prep. I mean, my attitude is changing.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Can I give you an example?
Yeah, please do.
So, prepping for, I think, AB 7. I think it was. Were you using Tran for AB 7?
Likely, yeah.
Right. So we were all squatting, and everything ran super smooth. Like, we actually got the squats done. There was 6 of us on the rack, and we all got it done in under an hour.
Right.
Which is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
All the knee wraps and all. And me and Jerry and Ben were like, geez, that went really well today, didn't it? He went, here. What the fuck was that today? That bar has to be moving constantly. I don't have all fucking day to be sitting around watching you cunts chatting to each other. And we were like, we actually thought it went pretty fast. No, the bar was empty for 10 minutes. What the fuck were you doing? This doesn't fucking happen again. You're not fucking squatting with me, right? And then, right?
that doesn't sound like me.
But in the prep for another meet, then I think we were back on a build maybe like a couple of months later. We were all squatting, and you were like doop dancing in between the sets and spotting people and dancing behind them and all. Yeah. You were like so chilled out. You know, oh man, and I was like, this is wild. Like for the people that are new to the club, you know, who don't know you, like that's always that joke about like the under 73 kilo lifter walking by Jake while he's grabbing him by the neck, and I'm like, that's where that joke comes from. Like, you're just gonna grab one of the juniors one day and fucking mill them across the gym. Like.
Man, I know it's bad, and that's something that I had to absorb. You know, and truly absorb it, and not just go, no. Actually absorb it and learn, you know. And I think we spoke about it a little bit earlier. I'm a slow fucking learner.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Thankfully, I've been surrounded by very forgiving people. And when I'm not a dick, I'm doing my best to help out.
Yeah, very true.
Which also contributes to me getting away with being a little wanker sometimes, right? And I do when I apologize completely. I don't fucking around. If I feel that, if it's been pointed out to me and I genuinely have hurt somebody or genuinely feel that you will get a wholehearted apology, and I will mean it, and I will make every effort for it not to happen again.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, I think people can appreciate that because it's, you know, like, it's hard for anyone, I suppose, that hasn't ever used the drugs to understand what it's like to be at that level. You know, I suppose that's why, like, for example, like Eamon and Ben and all are always just sound about it, like, because they obviously know they've been to that level of, you know, whatever that is, you know? Yeah. So I guess that when you've got people that kind of get it from a first-hand perspective, they can be a lot more realistic of what to expect from you, you know? But do you think then, so like I want to swing back around. So we mentioned before you've been somewhat controversial on the internet in the past, particularly on the old Instagram, right?
The old Instagram.
Yeah, before I know you took down your page for a while. You didn't have a page for a while. Do you think that using the things you do, like, amplified your, like, gumption to, like, say, I'm going to fucking post this. I don't give a shit.
And then the reactions then. I fed on the reactions. Because, you know, love and hate didn't matter. Just reaction. It's like, man, it's like chicks posting photos of whatever they post. I wouldn't pay attention to that anymore. It's just likes. It doesn't matter.
It's just controversy.
It's just controversy.
So you were saying you would specifically post things just to get a rise?
Just to get a rise. It wasn't that I actually am that fucking warped. Like, I mean, I probably was at the time with that much drugs in my system. But getting a rise out of people was hilarious to me. It still is. Like, for example, the other day, I was training with Ben.
Is this when he was trying to deadlift?
Yeah, and I was just teasing him. And I knew because he called me a bastard earlier on. And I was like, oh, he's pissed. There's something going on with him. So I was like tweaking at him, you know, tweaking at him. And he was doing his RDLs. And I always tell him that his RDLs, you have to count them from, you can't count the first pickup. It's 6 after the first pickup. He doesn't agree. So I was then maybe teasing him a little bit, going, making weird, just ever so subtle noises at the top of every rep.
And can I just ask, how much weight did he have in his hands?
Only about 220.
Right.
And it was only RDL, so it wasn't like I was doing it for his deadlifts. Anyways, he snapped, and as soon as he snapped, I broke my bollocks laughing.
You got him.
I got him. Jay broke his bollocks laughing, and you could see him getting ticker at himself, but still getting tick at me. And I was, to me, that was funny.
You found the chink in the armor.
Because you never get Ben to snap, and when you do, and then he was like, don't get me wrong, we both laughed about it 10 minutes later, and we were all fucking friends. Like,
you got under his skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one thing I know about abs. The moment, especially on that rack, the moment they see it, that little teeny thing, they go, what's that?
Yeah.
And they start asking you questions, and they start saying things, you will.
Yeah.
And then they keep going until it gets something, you know?
Yeah. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I feel that they don't do it to me because they just don't want to deal with me. And that's fine. But I also appreciate when they do wind me up, you know, because I don't want ever to not be part of that crew. Like,
well, bear in mind, I won't, like, do you mean specifically the guys on the defib rack, like?
Yeah, the defib rack. Them and anybody really, you know. Sometimes Jerry leaves me alone with the memes, and Jerry, I'm serious, don't fucking meme me. But no, I do
meme him.
I do enjoy the bit of banter, you know. Obviously, I do. But
maybe they're afraid they don't know which take they're gonna get.
Well, and that's the thing. And I sometimes kind of feel bad. I'm like, Jesus, you know, I am good to take the piss though, you know. Like,
oh, for sure, yeah.
Like, I'm game ball. If I can give it, and if you can get a reaction out of me, fucking give it to me.
More power to you.
Yeah, man. You know, like Conor Marston, like lately he's been trying to get me, and he got me to bite twice, just little nibbles, and all I got back was ha 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 ha. You know,
he knew,
and I was like, "Fuck you, you prick!" Right. So my goal now has been to get a reaction from him,
right? Which
I did do, and I successfully got one there the other night, and it was so much pleasure. Honestly, I just messaged back, "Yeah, you're shit."
Yeah. It's so the battles aren't actually just happening under the bar. You're also all trolling the shit out of each other on the internet. But like, do you then think that the way look, right? I'll give you this. You have matured a lot. Like, you don't post the same sort of things you used to. Like, I found it very funny at the time, but naturally, as the sport has grown and you took a step away from social media, you've since come back, you definitely are a much more moderated and mild version of what you would have been before. And I do think you actually post more useful information or insights into, even if it's just your opinion. I know you've spoken about like the bench change rule in the IPF, the Kabuki bar, screwing up all the records in the States, things like that.
Yeah.
So, but do you think now that the way you have conducted yourself online has cost you opportunities in the past?
Most definitely. And that's okay. That's on me. You know, as I said about drugs and I said about Anton, Jake Brennan is the one that controls his actions.
For sure.
You know, if I've made mistakes in the past, I've made them. I hold my hand up. You know, if I can get away with them, I will, like us all. But, you know, fuck it. I made mistakes. We all have.
Do you think being an enhanced athlete has cost you things like sponsorships and things?
Not so much that I'm an enhanced athlete. It's just that I'm so outspoken about being enhanced.
Do you think it's a combination of both then?
Yes.
Because like I don't think it's unfair to say that companies might look at the way you have conducted yourself online and say it's unprofessional.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You know? Because I know we've had dialogue recently about that, about like if you're gonna if you're gonna have a specific page about lifting or coach or anything like that, it'd be better to have a different page to a personal page.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that those sorts of things are important. But like, would you have any regrets about?
No, I'm sick of regrets, man. I have enough of them.
Sorry,
Yeah.
like you see no regrets around drugs at all.
No.
You're the
No, man, because you know what? They taught me so much.
Sure. Did they facilitate you being who you are?
Yeah. And they don't facilitate me now, but in the sense of who I am. But my mistakes guided me into who I am and who I'm going to become.
Sure.
And you know, something you said and it resonated with me. It's never too late. We have, especially as a male, we're blessed in that sense. I know white privilege and all that jazz, and male white privilege. Sorry, but it's never too late to be better and to just change. Then you and I, we were discussing it recently, and it truly resonated with me. And in a way that it's like when you get a coaching cue, and you can tell them the same thing, but then you find the one thing that actually works. Even it just boom, it clicks inside you. And it's just, you know, those things, there's always more. You can always be better and you can always start again. You know, so I fucked up. I have some regrets. I'll do my best not to dwell. My old man, he's gifted. He just forgets his mistakes. You know.
Can't regret what you don't remember.
Man, this motherfucker, I swear to God, I'd say something to him about when we were kids and he was doing some mad shit or whatever. I can't remember. And I'm like, you prick. Or he just doesn't have regrets. He just doesn't.
The clearest of consciences.
Man, but he's a good bloke.
Yeah.
You know, yes, he's made massive mistakes. We all have. But he's a good man.
Yeah. No, I think there's lessons in there though. Like, I mean, it's good to acknowledge, you know, what you have to let go of, whatever opportunities you've cost yourself.
Yeah.
Because I know we spoke previously. I spoke to Eamon about it previously. Like, you won't get the chance to wear the Irish singlet in the IPF.
That's a big, yeah, that's probably, sorry, yeah. That's as close to a regret as I have about drugs.
Okay.
That's it. You know, because I would love to go out with my crew, with what I consider my family and represent my country. But do you know what? I will get to, because we will design something for our juice monkeys.
Yeah.
And we will go out as a crew and we will represent our home turf and our club. You know, not just our club, but our country as a crew. It may not be the IPF, but we're still going out and representing.
100%. I think especially as the sport grows, and for this tiny little island, we have some monstrous lifters on it. The AB Series is known all over the world.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before, AB Series is getting taken to Glasgow next year.
Yep. And that'll be AB Series 13 at that stage.
That's right.
I mean, there's only been 9 meets so far. And look at the kind of...
10 meets.
10 meets?
Yeah, ABS Pro was ABS 10.
Was it?
Yeah.
I knew that. I was just testing you.
ABS 11 is in.
Oh, yeah. I either forget these are all so weak.
If you're not lifting it, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't really matter. No, it does actually matter. And, you know, this is where across the country, I mean, across the world, we're getting more and more recognised.
Mm.
And everybody goes, oh, well, the standard, it's too hard. It's not.
That is the standard.
That's the standard.
If anyone else is not doing that, they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know, it's this whole, people like to tell themselves lies. And we all do. It's like training. It tells you a lie. I know you're not that bad. You're a fucking prick. Right?
Yeah.
But like, you're in your head, they deserved it. Or I can smash them, or I can do that. That's what, when you're squatting high, and I've done it, I've been a high squatter, it's just, you're telling yourself a lie. You know, and when you come in and you're asked to tell the truth, you fall short. You know, and that's what it is with abs. And people don't want to see the truth of themselves.
I think it's in all things. You know, abs powerlifting, the club, we uphold a very high standard for our lifters, for our athletes.
Yeah.
And then the abs series is seen externally as the highest standard, because we take that same standard we expect from our lifters and we put it on everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a platform that so many international, you know, star powerlifters are afraid to compete on. And that is what it boils down to. They're afraid.
Yeah.
It's fear. They're not given their specialty bars to do their big lifts on. They're not given all the bells and whistles to disguise what they can and can't do. And this isn't me throwing shade at them.
No, I know.
Like, I think a lot of these lifters are, like, don't get me wrong, they'd still be the strongest lifters in the world regardless. You know what I mean? It's like we've talked about before, even if you took away all the drugs, like yourself and Jesse and Ben and Eamon would still all be the best lifters in Ireland.
Yeah.
I don't think that's up for debate. Do you know? It might mean everyone's totals are less, but I still think you'd be the best. I still think you'd have the biggest squat in Ireland. Do you know?
Yeah.
So still be the world's strongest bearded dragon breeder.
Maybe not the world's, but definitely the one.
Well, I don't know, man. I think that has to be a challenge you're going to have to. What if there's like some like jacked strongman bearded dragon breeder now?
Come at me, bro.
Well, look, right, and you did mention earlier on, and a very good point as well. We've talked about that. You know, we all, as you've learned lessons over the past couple of years, about as yourself as a person, you've made the choice to not use trend anymore because it makes you an absolute monster. You have learned to moderate yourself on social media and understand that it does have an impact on other parts of your life, you know? So with the mindset that you've still got so much time in your life to improve and get better. I know you've recently decided that you're going to become a coach.
Yes.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I mean, this is kind of the pathway. I mean, like, you're somebody who's been around a sport that is very niche knowledge to a very, very high level, like the highest level in this game. So talk me through it. What's the motivation? What's it going to look like?
Well, man, it's I don't know. You know what, man? It's the most nervous thing that I've done in my life. I know that sounds mad. I chuck 1,000 pounds on my back. It wouldn't faze me, like trying to go and relearn and re-educate myself. It's weird. It's scary for me. But I want to become better at delivering a message of strength, delivering, you know, how important strength is to your life, how important it is to just, you know, discipline yourself and find this, I don't know, man, it's like this idea, I see people all the time and they float around and just a small amount of structure. And I mean, we hear it all the time, structure. But a tiny amount of structure can make such huge differences to your life. And powerlifting changed my life. It changed my life massively. Drugs changed them too. And now powerlifting gave me the strength, funny enough, to cop on with the drugs and to redirect myself. And then because I was surrounded by great people like Ben, you, and I genuinely consider you a strong influence on my life now more than ever. You've helped me to understand a few things. Jay, the guys in the gym, you know, I mean, I look at the younger guys, I mean, they working a job, powerlifting, doing a thesis, and I'm like, motherfucker, how are you managing to do all that? But they do. So what's stopping me? You know, and so I've learned a lot from them, and I want to implement changes into my life and help other people become better at getting stronger. And I want to help from the start to the finish. Don't get me wrong, I do think that I could change some of the stronger guys better. Like, I mean, I look at guys' techniques, just for example, you know, I look at guys who are strong already, like James MacArthur, right? And we've spoken, he and I actually quite like James, right? He can smoke all he wants, so I don't give a fuck if he smokes. He can, you know, I mean, and Nick Mellor, right? I say to him, and I've squatted a lot more than both of them. Change your shoes, change how you squat, right? Like they both squat in flats. James dive bombs into a squat in these Nike fucking squishy shoes and always falls short. Always. Right? I know I've fallen short on deads, right? And it took me a long time to learn. But, you know, his best squats are in the gym, always, all the time. My best squats are on the platform. There's a reason. Because I'm always working to be only on the platform. You know, change your footwear and start from the ground up. You know, his dive bombing idea just doesn't work because he's too big and he's trying to do it with too much weight.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, you have that very unique experience that you can have these dialogues with lifters like that, because he is, you know, compared to most people you're going to interact with, like, one of the best squatters in the world.
Absolutely. And he's a brilliant squatter.
So you are somebody who could potentially coach lifters like that and have have applicable experience that they can actually listen to.
Yeah.
You know, like, I can't tell somebody how to squat 400 kilos because I've never have, you know. I can tell them how to squat. I can tell them how to get stronger at squatting, but those are like those tiny little 1% differences that you might not be able to necessarily notice if you're a regular gym PT who's just trying to teach Mary from down the road to do her first goblet squat. So to have that scope of experience, but to kind of bring it back around to you, like, it's admirable like that. Like, firstly, it's obviously, I'm sure it's very interesting for people to hear that, you know, somebody like you who squatted 430 kilos is nervous about doing a PT course.
Yeah, man, this is more nervous for me doing this than 1,000.
Like, that's crazy.
Like, honestly.
Well, like, as well, it's a degree of bravery because you have to step outside your wheelhouse, go back into education, adult education, many, many, many years after you left school. You know,
hey, man, ease up on the many,
many years. So, I mean, it speaks that you are in a place in your life where you've achieved so much, especially in the sport of powerlifting. Do you know? And I'd imagine you've had to sacrifice a lot of personal life things like that and personal growth. So this is great that you're managing to find a way to marry your, you know,
love, because I love this sport.
Yeah, exactly. Your love, your passion, everything you've put into powerlifting could potentially now pay dividends in a really prosperous career. I'd imagine over the next 18 to 24 months, we're probably going to see a very different Jake Brennan.
Yeah. And you know what, man? I genuinely am striding to make myself a better human being all the time. You know, nobody's perfect. Ain't none of us perfect. And that's the other thing about me. I'll post my fails and I'll talk about how imperfect I am because we are all just fucking human. Every one of us cocks up every day. Yeah. That's just part of it. Like, this something, like, I post my fails regularly. Not regularly because I don't fail regularly. But when I fail, I post them. Right? And the reason I do it is because I want people to know that it happens to us all.
Yeah.
Right? You shouldn't, but if you do, it's kind of okay.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. Just don't make it a fucking regular occurrence.
For sure.
You know, like yesterday I failed on my bench, right? Connor Kiernan, the king, knows this. Connor is actually a good skin. I know we ripped the piss out of each other a bit, but he's actually a good skin, and he's still the king, though, you know, the king of everything. Well, I had a dream on Monday night going into Tuesday morning that I was going to squat 212 or bench 212 and a half for a triple long pause, right? And I woke up, I was like, I better go and do it, so, right? And I told Connor this, and he was like, yeah, you can do it. And I was like, yeah, and I was fucking done 200. I was like, Jesus Christ, I don't know if I'm going to do it. Well, I have to. I had the dream, and I failed. I fell short, and that's okay. And I spun the wheel, but that's part of it. You know, you take a swing. When you're living on the edge of constantly pushing your strength, sometimes you're going to fall down. You know, it's like tightrope walking. Sometimes you're going to fucking fall off.
Listen, man, you can fail 1,000 times. You only got to get it right one time for it to be. You only have to hit 1,000 once to be the first man in Ireland to do it.
Exactly. You know?
Jake, we've been talking for ages, man.
Have we?
I think we're going to let you get on here again.
Oh, deadly, man. I'd love that.
Look, thanks very much for giving me all your time. I think there's a whole lot more to say, but you've given us some really good insights into your journey into powerlifting, some of the things you've had to overcome, and ultimately how even at the end of the day, after everything you've achieved, you can still achieve more.
Absolutely.
So 1,200's the next goal.
1,200's the only goal, baby. First man to 1,200.
Let's get it.
I love it.
Jake, Thanks for coming on, all right?
I appreciate it, and thank you for all the help you've given me over the last while and inspiring me to become a better person.
It's been my pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on the Iron Mindset.
Cheers, brother.